Okay, councillors, staff, members of the gallery, welcome to this ordinary council meeting of 13 December 2023. Could I call upon Councillor McMichael to provide the civic affirmation?
We, the councillors of the Armidale region, declare that we will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of our community and faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in us to the best of our skill and judgment.
Thank you, Councillor McMichael, and if I could call upon Councillor O'Brien to provide an acknowledgement of country.
Thank you. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land and we pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. The Armidale Regional Council pays tribute to their love of land, love of people and love of culture.
Thank you, Councillor O'Brien. Councillor O'Brien, if you'd be good enough to press the button. And I'll call upon the General Manager to make a statement regarding live streaming.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This meeting is being audio and video recorded and the recordings of the non-confidential parts of the meeting we've made available on the internet. No other persons are permitted to record the meeting unless specifically authorised by council to do so. If you haven't already done so, please set your mobile phones to silent and laptops also. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, I've received one apology for today, and that's Councillor O'Connor. She may join at some point during the meeting via video link, but at this point she is an apology. Councillors, having reviewed the agenda, do any of you need to declare a conflict of interest? No, I'll take that as a no. The first item on today's meeting is confirmation of the minutes of the Ordinary Council meeting held on the 22nd of November 2023. Do I have a mover for that? Thank you, Councillor McMichael, and a seconder is Councillor Gadders. Anything you'd like to say, Councillor McMichael, Councillor Gadders? No? All right, let's put that to a vote. All those in favour of accepting those minutes? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. The next item is item 7.1, which is a standing item. It's the Council Actions Report, which summarises the actions taken on resolutions of Council for the period January 2022 through to November 2023. Council is being asked to note this report. The details of it are on page 7 of the agenda and from page 10 of the attachments. Do I have a mover for that? Thank you, Councillor Gadders, and a seconder is Councillor Widders. Councillor Gadders, anything to say? Councillor Widders? Right, let's put that to a vote. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. Item 8.1 is the only one that we have from the Finance Department, and this is an amendment to the 2023-24 fees and charges for renewable energy waste. So the potential impact of waste from the proposed renewable energy zone is becoming a cause for concern in the wider community. I'm hearing a lot of that. Armidale Regional Council will take control of the narrative, and this policy effectively preserves the life cycle of the Armidale Regional Landfill, in that renewable energy waste will only be accepted via prior negotiation with Council. Details of this are from page 8 of the agenda, and Council is being asked to endorse the updated fees and charges for placement on public exhibition. At the conclusion of the exhibition period, either adopt the changes or receive a further report, and then delegate authority to the General Manager to negotiate fees for renewable energy waste. Can I have a mover for this, please? Thank you, Councillor Robinson, and the seconder is Councillor Redwood. Councillor Robinson.
Thank you. I think this is an important initiative, and we will find, because if there is waste, then we should deal with it in a responsible way. So let's see what the public says on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Redwood.
Yes, thanks, Mr Mayor. Yeah, let's not automatically become someone else's dumping ground for their projects. So I think it's good to be able to control it, and it's commendable.
Thank you. Councillors, does anyone wish to say anything? Councillor McMichael.
I'd like to comment. This project, as we all know, is a state government given to us project, and once again, like with a lot of grants, the administrative burden comes to us. It's not noted in the grant. It's not noted in the actual project, and so we have to think about the rubbish. We have to think about the lifetime project. We have to plan for it, and so this motion is terrific, and it's to be commended.
Thank you. Councillors, if there's nothing further to say, let's have a vote. All those in favour of adopting? Thank you. I declare that one carried unanimously. Item 9.1 is the draft burning of vegetation within the LGA policy. So the policy is an update of the existing one where Council is being asked to endorse the draft policy for public exhibition and receive a further report, or if no submissions are received, adopt the policy. We have details from page 14 of the agenda and pages 54 of the attachment. Can I have a mover for this, please? Thank you, Councillor Widders, because there is a recommendation on the screen, and Councillor O'Brien, thank you for that. Councillor Widders, anything to say about the burning policy?
I'll reserve my right to reply, just in case.
Councillor O'Brien? No. Okay. All right. Well, as there is no discussion, let's put it to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that one carried unanimously. Item 9.2 is the transition of the local environmental plan to digital mapping, where the item is actually seeking Council's endorsement to apply to the Department of Planning and Environment to transition our local environmental plan into a digital format. We have details on page 16 of the agenda, and there is a recommendation on the screen. Do I have a mover for this item? Thanks, Councillor Gadders, and the seconder is Councillor Redwood. Councillor Gadders, anything you'd like to say?
Maybe briefly, Mr Mayor. This is obviously a great opportunity to bring us a little bit closer to the modern world of digitisation. So I commend the staff for heading in this direction. It's going to make our planning for years to come on point and obviously accessible through the planning portal by not only our local and staff, but by those at state and other levels as well. So commend this. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Gadders. Councillor Redwood.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Yeah, well done on some upfront effort, but will lead to some efficiency down the track for both our people, but also more efficient in the process when we apply to those that sit above us in the government. So, here.
Right, councillors, anyone else have anything to say? Right, let's put that to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that one carried unanimously. Item 9.3 is around the public exhibition of the local strategic planning statement, which provides a clear vision for the future of our region for the next 20 years and sets out our roadmap on how we wish to get there. So the LSPS, as it is known, is the culmination of many months' work, almost a year and a bit's work, and is consistent with the growth agenda of this council that we voted for back in the beginning of 2022. Details are from page 21 of the agenda and also 68 of the attachments. Now, there is a recommendation on the screen. Can I have a mover? Thanks, Councillor Redwood. You wish to move it as written? Or?
Just one minor amendment, which was to change the exhibition for a period of not less than 28 days to a period of not less than 42 days.
Okay, thank you. So that's what you're wishing to move. Is there a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor McMichael. Okay, so that is the motion that's on foot. Councillor Redwood, do you wish to say anything?
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I wanted to just take the opportunity to congratulate Chief Officer Boyce and his team for bringing the roadmap of our future to life. There's no doubt that the amount of effort, blood, sweat and tears that would have gone in to make this happen, and as we've discussed in the past, the team will continue to work on this to ensure the final version is ready for public exhibition, because there are some things to drop into it, we know. As Dan said to us in our very first formal induction meeting, councillors, what I ask of you is to set the goalposts and then don't change them. And what we've done is just that in the last 2 years, and provided the vision to allow this team to generate this great document, which will capture, or has captured, the essence of where our terrific region is heading towards prosperity and success again. A region I'm already proud of, and I'll be much more proud of when the fruits of our labour are complete. So the document will clearly articulate to all interested parties exactly where we're going and what to expect. So congratulations, team, and congratulations, Armidale region.
Thank you, Councillor Redwood. Councillor McMichael.
I'd like to echo Councillor Edwards' thanks to the staff. As you said, it's been a long process and over a considerable amount of time, and this is a project that we've planned, and we'd like the community to look at it, and that's why we've suggested the 42 days rather than the normal 28, and we'd like people to look at it, read it, think about it, and offer some suggestions about this plan for our region. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Packham.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd have a question of the mover of the motion, just to look at where it says a period of not less than 42 days of submission. Just a period sort of is not succinct, and whether that should be with an option to extend if that was the desire, or that we should, for a period of 42 days, with an option to go further, or I'm not quite sure whether Councillor Redwood would be acquiesced to remove not less than.
Councillor Redwood.
I'm happy to remove not less than. I personally don't think it'll make a big difference, not less than or for a period of. But
okay,
I'm
it's your
happy to
motion.
move
If you're happy, if the seconder is happy. Okay, thank you. So, Councillor Packham, was that it from you?
Thank you. I mean, my point, I guess the point to my request was about when will submissions be, finalised and cut off and available for council staff to consider without the possibility of it just drawing out further, or unless council wishes to invite us back for a further exhibition period to gather more information in future. To close the public exhibition 42 days.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Gillespie. That is the motion. Yep. So do you wish to speak at all to that motion?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, I as we get told a fair bit of the time that common sense isn't too common around the place lately, but I thank a lot of my fellow councillors for bringing a little bit of common sense into this section. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Councillor Robinson.
This is a very, very important document, and I encourage everybody to try and look at all the details, because it's a very comprehensive and very detailed document, and I hope everybody will look at it and give council their opinions, because you'll be looking at them and interested in the feedback. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Councillor Robinson.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. There he is. Councillor Witters, would you like to say something?
Just a reminder on the LSPS, it's part, if you have a look, in the meeting attachments, you'll see a little diagram there. It's part of a district plan and part of a regional plan, which then comes back. So if you're looking to put some submissions in on this, have a look at the district plan and the regional plan from the state governments as well, and also our local environmental plan and the development control plan. They should be able to be found on the council website. Have a look how it all relates to each other, because you don't want, for example, the district plan has a certain feel to it, and our plan is completely an outlier on it. So, just as an example, so when you make your submissions, have a bit of a read through. That take a bit of extra time to look at all the other plans that it relates to.
Good point. Thank you. All right, councillors, if there are no further things to say. Let's put this to the vote. All those in favour of putting it on exhibition? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. We'll be hearing a lot more about that LSPS in the coming months. All right, item 9.4, the CCTV Safe Procedures and Protocols. This item refers to an updated procedures and protocols that have arisen due to advancements in technological design, so in relation to the closed circuit television. We have details from page 28 of the agenda and 202 of the attachments. There is a recommendation on the screen. Could I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor O'Brien. A seconder is Councillor Redwood. Councillor O'Brien, anything you'd like to say?
Oh, just quickly that I commend the policy, but also one of the beneficial parts of this policy and procedure is that the capacity for ongoing, negotiation and feedback from the police about where these cameras will most benefit the public. I mean, previously in Armidale, they were all centred around the business area and really just protecting business, but now it's the capacity for it to open it up and protect the rest of the community, particularly in areas of need, was much needed. And thank you. I commend the policy.
Thank you. Councillor Redwood.
Yeah, likewise, commend it. Anything that makes our region safer is a good move, so well done.
Thank you. All right. Councillors, anyone else wish to speak to it? Let's put it to a vote. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. Item 9.5 is about delegating authority to accept the tender for the Armidale and Guyra sale yard. So the project plan for the upgrades to the sale yards recommends appointing a preferred contractor by late January 2024. To enable this to happen, the item is seeking the departure from convention and making the process of awarding tenders and allowing the General Manager to accept the tender under delegated authority. We have details from page 31 of the agenda and 261 of the attachments. There is a recommendation on the screen. Can I call for a mover, Councillor Packham?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation as a motion with a slight amendment to Part C.
Part C, and
that this action, it's actually Part B. Is it?
Yeah, Part B, okay.
Yes, Part B. That on an exceptional basis we endorse the departure from conventional procurement policy at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. So do we have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor McMichael. Councillor Packham, anything you wish to say?
Just a right of reply if needed, sir.
Councillor McMichael.
Just that I agree with the exceptional basis. We do tenders all the time and we look at them, and normally council looks at them and discusses them, and although we appreciate the staff and what they can do, it's good not to have an exception, good not to do them. Thanks.
Just a quick question. I know I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but what difference is it going to make on is that on an exceptional basis? What's the problem with that? I mean, I'll ask Councillor Packham to explain then to what he's moving to me. Thank you.
Okay. Look, my read of it is that this is just a departure from what is normal, and we'll revert to usual process in due course. But there's a question, I guess, has come through me to Councillor Packham.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. On that basis, that the reasons provided for where we were requested to have a departure of procurement policy isn't necessarily out of the ordinary, but shouldn't necessarily set a precedent in these circumstances. As Councillor McMichael, learned colleague here, said, we regularly, as part of the procurement policy, have reports to council on the outcomes of tender processes, which we deliberate on and ask questions about, and then endorse the recommendations or otherwise as the needs arise. So in this case, time, funding, funding expiries, etc., have occurred, and we think that time is of the essence to get this important work done for the region, for our rural ratepayers, and the economy of this thing. And so we're saying, on an exceptional basis, let's go forward with it. But the fact that time is short and that the tender processes haven't been able to be concluded within the funding period shouldn't become part of the norm. So it's on an exceptional basis we're endorsing a departure from the established procurement processes and allowing the job to get on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, my very learned friend. That's explained very well. Thank you.
Brilliant. Okay, councillors, let's put this to a vote. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. Item 10.1 is the internal audit charter. So council is required to have a charter for its internal audit function. Details of this item from page 35 of the agenda and 263 of the attachments. Council is being asked to note the content of the draft charter. Also note that the draft internal audit charter was endorsed by the ARIC at their last meeting, and also then to adopt the internal audit charter. So can I call for a mover for the recommendation? Thanks, Councillor Packham, beat Councillor Golightly, who is now the seconder. Councillor Packham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's great that we got an internal audit charter. It's also great that staff have come to, internal audit functions of businesses tend to get stale after time. Everyone becomes a generalist in managing the function. But what this charter does is allow and recognise the fact that outside expertise, especially in the area of cybercrime, etc., needs to be brought in, and that can dovetail into the internal audit function of council. So I think that's the biggest achievement for endorsing this charter, is the recognition that we can work internally and externally for the best outcome and for the organisation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Golightly.
No comment, except thank you, my very learned friend. That's good. Well explained.
Thank you. All righty. Any other councillors wish to speak to the internal audit charter? On that happy note, let's have a vote. Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. The next one, item 10.2, the ARIC expenses and facilities policy. So the item is seeking the adoption of the draft ARIC fees, reasonable expenses and facilities policy, with paid details from page 37 of the agenda and 273 of the attachments. There is a recommendation on the screen. Do I have a mover for that? And thanks. Councillor Packham is the mover. Councillor Widders is the seconder. Councillor Packham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Having followed the establishment or the recommendation for our ARIC charter, it's obviously this is the follow-on to crystallise the fee process under which those learned members do. This is quite just for the public. The fees that are proposed are quite reasonable. The amount of work that goes into the ARIC in terms of preparation for meetings is almost exactly the same, if not more arduous than it is to councillors. And I think that the fees that are sitting, not the document talks about a sitting fee, but the sitting fee is a lot more than that. There's preparation before meetings, at meetings, after meetings, confirming minutes, arranging, especially for the chair, to arrange to agree with an agenda with the general manager, and that is arduous. So I think almost I would say that the fees are nominal, but they are what they are, and I support it as the fees as they are written.
Thank you. Councillor Widders.
No, I just support what Councillor Packham has said. I think having this committee is important, and giving them proper, well, at least some sort of remuneration for their work is worthy of it, considering the intellectual capacity of doing audit, risk and improvement puts on a person. I think that, as Councillor Packham said, sometimes the money might not be enough for it, but at least there's something there.
Brilliant. Thank you. Okay, councillors, let's put this to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. The next item up is the one that we heard during the Have Your Say session, and that's the gates and stop grids on public roads policy. So the purpose of the report is to have council adopt a revised policy We have details on page 40 of the agenda and 278 of the attachments. Can I have a mover as Councillor Packham? Do you wish to
Thank you,
speak
Mr Mayor.
to
Actually, I'd like to defer item 11.1 to the February 2024 meeting. So I am not, well, that's my motion. The motion is to defer this item until February 2024.
Okay, if we get a second for that, I'll see if you need to flush it out. Thank you, Councillor Redwood. Councillor Packham, do you want to speak at all to that? Or?
As a right of reply if needed to.
Okay, thank you. Councillors, does anyone wish to speak at all? Councillor Witters.
Yeah, I'm going to get you to use your right of reply here, Councillor Packham. This is, for me, been a fairly frustrating thing of this motion continually getting deferred. I'm happy if there's a good quality reason for it to be deferred. And I'd like to know it, and I'd like, since we're being broadcast live, I'd like for the community to understand why it's again getting another 2-3 month deferment. As I said, if it's a good quality reason, I'm happy to support it. Just that I'd like to be expressed why.
Thank you. We'll wait for the right of reply. We'll just, Councillor McMichael has a question as well.
I was just going to say, I think we should defer it, having listened to some of the discussion earlier in the week and having heard the speaker this afternoon. I think that although we've had a number of comments from the staff, that there are still some complicated issues to resolve from both sides, and I think we should defer it till February.
Okay, thank you. Does any other councillor wish to say anything before I invite Councillor Packham to have his right of reply? Councillor Packham.
Thank you, and thank you, Councillor Witters, for the question. It has been a long, arduous process, but I think that's a reflection on how complex the issue actually is between those ratepayers affected and the council, which indeed wants to support the ratepayers that are affected. The policy, as written, it appears quite binary, but it's not. It has a big interplay into tradition. It has an interplay into the fact that we had Armidale Generic Council with one treatment of Gates and Grids, one with Guyra, Gates and Grids, and then Armidale City Council, which probably didn't have as much impact with Gates and Grids in the past. It's finding a happy medium between, does ownership mean you must pay? Do we have ownership and a co-payment arrangement? Do we have a situation where we've now allocated 20 metres of road either side of a grid that the gravel roads maintenance project would ordinarily do? And now we're asking the farmers on either side of a grid, or in fact, as the speaker said, one grid, multiple grids within a property, to actually now take on 40 metres of road maintenance as well, which would ordinarily have been paid for by council. But now, for the fact that we're applying or assigning a grid to ownership, those 40 metres now belong is a maintenance problem for them as well. So I think, understanding that this whole region is built on the agricultural economy. The people who typically aren't on welfare, they typically aren't the people who are on government incomes. And without those engine room jobs that we talk about, there are no insurance agents, there are no stock and station agents, there are no rural supply stores. There's Kelly's Transport and a few others would be, just wouldn't have the work that does that. That money is all then spent back into the economy, and all those people build economy and start to pay rates and then have a thing. So I think whilst, yes, it looks typically, I'm not going to say unprofessional, I've just said that word, but I mean, we've deferred it a number of times to get the right thing. We only have submissions. The council have taken the position of submissions and some legal advice. But what we now need to do as a council, and perhaps as a council group, come together with the recommendations of the framework with which the policy, how the policy is that we would like council to proceed with. Now, it's been explained to us in the documentation that the Gates and Grids weren't considered as part of SRV, but I can tell you that Gates and Grids were never wanted to be funded by the council in the first place. So now we have this issue. No one wants to take the red fleet onto the books, but we had to take the red fleet onto the books. No one wanted to take that depreciation on the books. Council have done the same thing. We don't want to take grids and gates on our books. We don't want depreciation on the books. But at some point, funding it, long-term financial plan of it, stocks and grids, once the grids are put in to a standard or otherwise, are a 15 to 40-year investment. It's not something that's just necessarily recurring and ongoing expenses. And I think once you get to farmers who are who take up the lion's share of the SRV, could just get some part back in terms of allowing them to have their fertiliser and their stock movements and their kids to get to school and and preserving the biosecurity responsibility that we have between animals not being able to things. I'm sure that we can get over the liability issues. Stock jump grids all the time. And no farmer comes back and says, oh, hang on, what are we going to do? Come back to council and say, you built me a grid, or you put a grid to standard and my stock jumped over, and that should never have happened, and all that sort of thing. So I think this is just giving us the opportunity, perhaps over the break, some general, some common sense might come to things, that we can come to the table and say, okay, council, what part do you want to play in the agricultural community and those ratepayers? And what do we think that they, as ratepayers, should themselves come up and absorb as costs going forward? Long-term investment in our region. That's my reply, Mr.
Thank you.
I've got another question to the mover.
You have a question?
Yes, question to the mover. In regards to adding to your deferment motion, if we're just going to defer the same policy and the same motion to February, then we're still going to be stuck at the same thing. Should you add in there that something about a relook at the policy and relook at the paperwork and everything else, so that we're not just coming back to the same thing in February with the same stuff that over the December, January, February, that staff or whatever key pillar working group was working on this at the time actually change something so that we don't get it deferred. Is that your hand up? No, I thought you had your hand up really. So do you want to add on to that? Or?
Thank you, Councillor Witters. I would like to do that. And as a council group on other matters, we've called on the Mayor to convene a workshop of all councillors, not necessarily the key pillar working group that was sort of assigned or took that issue on. The key pillar working group did a lot of work to gain submissions and gain sentiment around the issue, and council took that as a submission. The key pillar working group perhaps could have come and said, we recommend to fellow councillors a policy that we would recommend to council, a policy that went down this path, and this path. But we didn't get to that point before the prior deferment. So, I mean, I could add to it, but it's not up to me when I feel it's the Mayor's position to convene a workshop or a group of interested councillors want to form a policy position on that, which they can then debate with the General Manager and the staff on the matter.
Thank you, Councillor Pagham. Just for completeness and maybe to try and tie a bow in this, where I'd like to go is I'll be part of a group with a select group of councillors to land on a position that we feel is sensible. That position would then be socialised with the councillors, socialised with the staff to see if that can be fit into the policy and it's all legit and it's consistent with the Roads Act. And that's what we would expect to see back before the February Ordinary Council meeting.
That's fine, I agree with that, but I just want to make sure that it's in the actual papers so that when we come back in February and 7.1, there's actual council actions report, so there's actually an action that can be reported against on what you've just said. So we need something within the motion to say this is what we plan to do. Otherwise, we're coming back to, the way I'm reading is we're coming straight back to, in February, back to the original motion. So we need something to change in this deferment motion so that it's not the same motion that comes back in February. So we've got an actions report for it.
Right, I'll let Councillor Pagham make a final
just
thing.
one last point on that. I agree, but 7.1 is council action report, and we don't have a council laws action report, which it seems to that this item lands on. I would be happy to remove February from the deferment if that was agreed and defer it to 2024. But I was hoping to land on a time frame, albeit I know that people want to go away for Christmas and New Year and actually have a break from all this business, but that's where I land. That's what, I mean, that's the reason why I've said February. And if that's not of...
Let's leave it to February. I think we've heard enough. Councillors, let's put this to a vote. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. All right. We will combine items 11.2 and 11.3, which are the Kempsey Road status reports. They're regular monthly reports, just on the updates on the Kempsey Armidale Road restoration project. Details are from page 53 of the agenda. There is a recommendation on the screen. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Redwood. A seconder. Thank you, Councillor Witters. Councillor Redwood, anything to say? Councillor Witters? All right, councillors, let's put that to a vote. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. We now move to the 13s section, which are the committee reports. We have a number of committee reports here. The first one is the Sports Council, their minutes of their meeting on the 23rd of October 2023. The recommendation on the screen is that the minutes be noted. Also, that council is seeking council endorsement to reallocate $25,000 towards the completion of the indoor cricket training facility. Note the successful application of Joe Campbell to the Sports Council Committee, and note changes to the Sports Council priority list. So that's a recommendation on the screen. Can I have a mover? And I'll say Councillor Galletley for that as our Sports Council member, and Councillor Redwood is the seconder. Councillor Galletley, anything to say?
No, we're just plugging along, getting things done for the sporting community, and yeah, going well. We seem to be able to work together and get things done. So it's thumbs up from me, and everything else is pretty self-explanatory in the whole report. But that's pretty good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, nothing from Councillor Redwood. Councillors, let's put that to a vote. All those in favour of the Sports Council Committee minutes? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. The next one is item 13.2, which is the Traffic Advisory Committee, and there's been a lot on there. This is from their minutes, the minutes of their meeting held on the 14th of November, which is seeking the council note the minutes, endorse the temporary road closure of Canambi Street, for an event on the 14th of January. Note that a certificate of currency for public liability, that goes on. There's a number of actions there to endorse. Can I have a mover for that, please? Thank you, Councillor McMichael, and a seconder. Thanks, Councillor O'Brien. Councillor McMichael, anything you'd like to say?
Just that, yeah, there are a number of events, community events coming up. As you see on the screen, the Jamboree in January, but we did note a couple of months ago that people were coming to the traffic committee with events that were like there in 2 weeks, and we said, you can't come to us in 2 weeks because they've got to go to various committees, the police and traffic and us, and it takes a time to while. So we sent around notes saying, please, this is a calendar, and your events, if they gives 3 months, and it's been lovely to see. We've agreed to events in January, the Gyro Potato Festival, and the Autumn Festival. So there's lots of events on the calendar, which is terrific, and lovely to see. We're a really social community.
Thank you. All right, councillors, let's put that to the vote. All those in favour of noting the minutes and the other actions? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. Item 13.3 are the ARIC minutes of their meeting on the 14th of November, and the recommendation is that the minutes be noted. Note that the meeting was the final one for this current term of the ARIC, and also to thank the committee for their service. So can I have a mover for that, please? Thanks, Councillor Packham. A seconder. Thank you, Councillor Gadders. Councillor Packham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're noting the report, noting the great work that the ARIC do. I just wanted to make a special mention to the departure of Michael O'Connor, who served 2 terms on ARIC. I had the pleasure of working with with him outside of this council and with this council as a member. And I would, publicly thank him for his salient and level-headed advice in terms of his expertise in internal audit and external audit. And let's wish him well for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, well, let's put that to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. I declare that one carried unanimously as well. The final committee report we have is from the Liverpool Region Key Pillar Working Group, which the chair of that is Councillor Galletley here. And Councillor Galletley, I'll get you to move that and then maybe make a few comments, and then we'll find a seconder and vote.
Okay, Doug. Look, we've been a while in coming with our committee here, but we've been working, or I've been working on this for the last 3 or 4 months, and it came with the complaint about our old greyhound track that was sitting there at the entry to town and not going very well. And I'd had the Armidale Cycling Club with about 80 members. Phil Thomas came and said, look, we need somewhere to put a criterion track to suit the purpose of a track that they'd lost for training over where the Rural Fire Service do a lot of their work over there. So we cruised around, we tried to find all different locations, and we came to this might be the best location for it. And then we also took into account that a lot of kids and parents go up to the netball courts up at Lynch's Road, and that's a basic area for teaching your toddlers how to ride bikes. So we got our heads together and thought the best thing would be is to make a community cycling track that can also double up as a criterium track if needed. We needed about 1,000 metres of area when you organise the track, which this just worked into the right sort of a thing that we were looking for. And also there's infrastructure there. Most of the infrastructure is pretty well will need bulldozing down, but we've got a fairly decent amenities block there that can be probably upgraded a little bit, but can do the job, I think, for a start for us for sure. And there's also a good big brick building there that could work as a clubhouse or something like that, a storage area for whatever it might be. So the cycling track put a little bit of money towards getting a bit of a plan written up. So we've got a plan there, and then we thought, right, well, we've got to try to get this. So it's under Crown land, which it's the Armidale Jockey Club, the crew that are meant to be the ones looking after it, which they haven't got money running out their ears. So they've said that they would be interested in negotiating with us. So at the last meeting, we confirmed that it is worth our attention being put there. So the staff got together and have put in a legal letter to the Crown's land and to the Armidale Jockey Club and Crown's land to see if we can acquire this for our such track. So where at the present is that which is probably not, it's not going to be that quick through over the Christmas break, obviously, but it's been in for probably about a month now. But hopefully we can find what's with the Crown land, if they're happy to hand it over, and if we can get that handed over to the Armidale Cycling Club for them to maintain and put their time of work in, it will be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. And what have I forgotten? I think that's pretty well it anyway. So we're in the early stages of getting this up and going. I think it's something that we need. And yes, that's about it. Well, thanks for letting me give that report. That's probably the longest I've spoke ever for 4 and 13 minutes in this room, but not as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Galletley. And I know Councillor Redwood was the seconder of noting those minutes, but thanks for the good news story and the work that your key pillar working group is doing. Councillors, can we put this to a vote? All those in favour of accepting the minutes? Thank you. I declare that carried unanimously. That brings us to the end of the open session of the meeting. Can I have a motion to move into closed session, and if resolved, ask the public to exit? So Councillor Robinson can be moving that. Councillor Redwood is seconding that. Let's put it to the vote. All those in favour of moving into closed, thank you. I declare that Thank you, Mark. Darren, no, Nathan, I was looking at going to get Mark to open the door, but I won't. Doesn't matter, no one's there. All right, welcome back into the public session, the open session. I'll ask the General Manager to read out the resolutions of the closed session.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. 2 items in closed session. Item 15.1, the provision of recyclables collection and processing services tender recommendation. Resolved by Council that they accept the submission provided by Armidale Recycling Services as tendered for provision of recyclables collection and processing services for Armidale Regional Council for the period from 1 February 2024 to 31 January 2032, with 1 2-year extension option until 31 January 2034. B, delegate authority to the General Manager to approve an extension of the contract for an additional 2 years based on satisfactory performance of the contractor, value for money and operational needs. C, delegate authority to the General Manager to approve expenditure for the contract for financial years 23-24 to 33-34 up to the limit of the approved budget. D, approve additional funding to be made available from Council's Waste Reserve to support the contract for the 23-24 financial year. And E, delegate authority to the General Manager to execute all documents in relation to the contract and delegate contract and financial management. Item 15.2, the Kempsey Road Delivery Strategy and Procurement Plan are resolved by Council that the Council note the early contractor involvement submission assessment update and procurement strategy for engagement of a contractor to deliver the main works contract. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Mr General Manager. There being no further business, I declare the meeting closed at 4:52. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, everyone.